Always have to wait. Hi guys, Trevor here, Technology Drop-In Thursdays. Today is March 11th and we are going to be having fun with Teams. There's some cool functions that's going to come in, especially if you like to take a lot of notes. There's transcripts, so we'll talk a bit about that in a sec. So I'm going to start off with my screen sharing here so you guys can see everything that's going on, and then we'll work from there. I'm just going to pull my meetings up here and make sure that I can mute anyone I need to. Okay, so we'll talk about that here. No, we'll talk about it later. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Webex. So one of the things that Webex has done now is anytime you create an event in Outlook, it will now post under the location. It's actually going to put in a Webex, the URL. So as I go into here, add my little piece here, give it a second, and it's waiting because it's adds it there. Oh, come on, you did it like 30 minutes ago. All right, do you see where it says join from? Imagine, if you will, that when you did it, it actually pasted it there, because that's what happened when I did it at lunch. So it's my Outlook and I have been fighting today, so apparently it's still holding a grudge. So, but that's what's supposed to happen is when you put in those new Webex things, it's automatically going to put the link in there. I had also put in the new feature in Webex, the meetings themselves. It's the Q&A. Did I lose you guys? Are we still there? Oh, I'm still sharing. Okay, is the Q&A. So let me just fire up my meeting here. One of the things about the Q&A that's a little bit different than some of the other Q&A experiences is that there's not a voting capability to it. So what that means is with a lot of things like Google Slides has a Q&A function, so does Microsoft Live Events, so does something else that I can't remember offhand. But what happens with the Q&A is when I turn this on, everyone else can put in their questions from their end. Me as a host or as a co-host, I can reply to them, but there's no way to reorganize the Q&A anywhere. So if the question you want to address is like way down in the bottom and you wanted to talk about it, the only way to know that is you have to scroll through it. So if you had like a large group of like 700 people asking questions, someone's going to do large scrolling. And that's why I always say when you're doing a big show kind of thing, I always have one person whose only job is to look after comments and stuff. I usually refer to them as the comment wrangler, and that's their job. It's just to answer the questions, or if it's something to bring to my attention, say, hey, Trevor, we should talk about this on air or whatever. So having a comment wrangler is handy for that. In other products, the end users can actually vote on the question. So good questions come to the top, poor questions come to the bottom. And so when you only have so much time left, it gives you that amount, the ability to go through and do the Q&A stuff. So it's a very basic Q&A piece right now. Depending on what you're doing, sometimes I like chat better than Q&A. So it just, everyone's got a different way of doing it. But notice here, I'm starting off as the host. I can't actually hit send here. I can't submit a question. I can only reply to them. So if someone else, so to get the experience of what it looks like from another user, you actually would have to join someone else's meeting and post your questions. Because as a host, apparently I don't have questions because I know it all, but I can send replies. And the replies here, as you can see, I can either reply to a question. So if there was 5 questions, I would just click on the question. I can hit a reply. The questions here, the answers down below, so they're kept together. But I can also send another comment privately as well. So that's Webex, new things for coming for that. I'm sure everyone read McEwen Midweek this week, so you all know about this, but I'll bring it up anyways. We have a product called Microsoft Bookings. Bookings is a tool that a team would use to coordinate activities. So think of it, the example they always use is a hair salon. So the idea is that there's 5 people working at the hair salon. I might come in, I might want to meet with someone to do hair, then I might want to meet with someone else to go get a pedicure. Not the foot one? Yeah, pedicure. No, whatever, a foot massage, whatever. I don't go enough, apparently. And so Bookings allows you to do that. It allows you to have different services, and you can assign different users as well as different time zones. So it's not intended for a one-on-one thing. That's in the document. I talked about making sure you use Google appointment slots, which is a better choice. But for Teams and stuff like that, this is great. So I'm just going to show you what we're using it right now. So McEwen International has 3 of these things set up. One for people that want to talk about current student advising, and there's a 50-minute slot. There is this extension of immigration documents. That's almost 2 hours. This one here is 50 minutes. And there are different people assigned to them. And what happens is as you choose one of these choices, it shows you the availability. And what's happened is whoever's assigned to this service, their Outlook calendar is used as the main reference. So you'll notice there's like nothing in the morning. Well, of course it's, no, that's not week. Nothing's available in the morning, and the last appointment's at 3, and I know they go up to 4 o'clock. So it's checking everybody's calendar and only bringing forward what's there for availability. There's a little bit of form stuff that we can do some customization and all that. And then there's some other features and stuff. If you think this is something your team can use, again, not for one-on-one, but if it's something your team can use, you can go into McEwen Help Center. And in the McEwen Help Center, if you go under, I can't, hang on a second here, to raise a request, you want to make a request, go under Tech Support, Microsoft, and there should be a thing here. I'm getting there. Go faster, Mike. Microsoft, and then there should be a thing here on bookings creation. Just go ahead and fill that out. That'll put a ticket in, and then I'll follow up with you, and we'll make sure we'll talk about getting it set up. It's not a tool that you just get access and you start doing stuff with. We actually do some setup on the back end, get everything set up properly, get you trained all right, and then get you access to the stuff. So it's not something that just go play kind of thing. So if you're interested, by all means, reach out to me or just reach out and create a ticket, and we can do a follow up with you guys afterwards. Oh, something's in the chat. Hang on, let me just quickly check. I lost the chat. No. Randy, you have a question?
Yeah, so that international booking system or bookings for international students, that's something we're using right now, so students see this screen?
That's correct. The internationals group have been using it for about 6 weeks now. Academic advising has also been using it. They've been using it since September. They were actually our part of the pilot project. Last month alone, month of February, they did 560 bookings, 560 appointments. So the nice thing about bookings is it does because the student or whoever goes in and picks their date and time and stuff, all that admin stuff that the advisors were doing before is now handled by Microsoft. So it's all self-managed. I find the time I want. If I need to cancel, there's a way of canceling it and stuff. There's email reminders are sent out. So it takes a lot of that admin stuff off of those advisors, and they can focus on what their job is, which is advising. But yeah, the international programs has set this up. That's where it's from.
Very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, cool. You can put your hand down now, Randy. I know you say that because then I don't have to do it. And here's something new that Microsoft has done is remember we used to have, I'm just going to swing, let me grab a different window because I don't want to bring everyone's head into this one, but I'm going to bring this window over here. So over here, when I had a meeting going, and you had the participant list, you could have all the link. There's a little link button there that you could click on that would allow you to grab the information for just sending out the link to people so that they could join. Well, that's now available in a couple of different places and actually has a different look to it. So I'm just going to show you something here. So right now, if I go to Meet Now, which we've talked about in the past, that means I want to do a meeting right now. I get this thing, it says get a link to share. And this is now available when you go look at your meetings, and under the participants, it says get a link to share. You have 2 options that pop up. One that basically says share it via email. The other is you just click on that and that gives you just that link. This is better than what they did before, because before when you went and used that link, it had the email information and then the HTML. And if all you wanted to do was just have the link, you had to go and dig it out of the message. Here, it's just strictly, here's the meeting and here's the link, and then you're done. So there's a big URL. And then this, you just click on that and it'll use Outlook to share it. And then you can add some other messages and stuff to it. But this share via email, or sorry, this share link is now available in our current meeting. So if you had a meeting going on right now, go under the participants, you'll see that new icon show up there, which is kind of fun. Another new thing that's happened, and unfortunately it didn't take for this one, but we now have transcripts involved with our meetings. So what that means is there's a link under the 3 dots under the more. It's not in this current one that I have, but if I'm in the meeting, I can turn on transcripts. So transcripts is like captions. So captions display on the bottom of the screen, they scroll along, they don't save. Transcripts comes up on the right-hand side a little bit, and then there's a transcript of what people are saying. So it captures it as it's saying, but then it also saves it as a text file. So when you're finished your meeting, you have a file that you can look at. So I did a quick test of it this morning, and it doesn't appear, just from what I've seen right now, that if you've got a meeting that you created a while ago, like this meeting here that we're in right now, the transcript function doesn't seem to be available. So I'm assuming that means it's only available on new meetings that I've created. But when I go into here, and I did this meeting this morning, you can see up top here, let me just resize the screen a bit. Come on, resize, there we are. There's a new thing here called recordings and transcripts, and it takes a little while. Sometimes this stuff will pop in, but basically whether you click on here or click here, doesn't matter. You come to the same window, and I actually started and stopped my transcripts a couple of times. So that's why I have 3 different files here. For whatever reason, the last one didn't take. I'm not sure why, but I suspect they're still kind of rolling it out slowly. But there's the whole transcript of everything that I said. Apparently not exactly, because I did not talk about football at all. So keep in mind, this is not going to be exact when you do those transcripts. The other thing also is when the meetings are over, there's an attendance that you can download. So anyone that's come in and stuff, I just saw this morning, so I haven't even had a chance to look and see what kind of data it's got. But from what I've read, it's going to have what time they started, what time they ended, the duration, and who all came in. So, when you're doing training and stuff like that, that's kind of a nice handy piece to have. Transcripts and participants, that's it. Oh, there's a chat. Let's see if someone's going to say something. Okay, just a comment. Last thing I want to talk about is breakout rooms. So one of the challenges that I have now that I'm doing training online is that I have a section where I'll say to people, okay, we've learned how to do all this for the next 20 minutes. Here's an assignment. I want you to apply that. And so the students would sit there and they would work on their assignments. And then when I was back at the campus, I'd walk around and I could look over their shoulders to see what they're working on. The problem now is that nobody wants to turn on their screen. Nobody wants to ask for help, and I can't look over everyone's shoulder. So I thought about this the other day and I went, you know what? I can use breakout rooms. Now, whether it's Webex or in Microsoft Teams, it doesn't matter. But if there's a time where I want to wander, I basically would take every one of the students and put them in their own breakout room. And then before I do that, I say, guys, I'm going to put you in your own breakout rooms. If you can you turn on your cameras and turn on your screen sharing? So basically, I can jump from one breakout room to another. So it's just like looking over their shoulder, because there's at least doing screen sharing if nothing else. And then I can see what they're working on and any problems they might be having. Because I find a lot of times the people that I'm training don't want to say anything out loud. They don't want to look silly or anything like that. But if I put them in their own breakout rooms and then I can jump from room to room to room, then they're a lot more open. It also gives the student the opportunity to say, hey, Trevor, because on both of the platforms, there's a way of saying so-and-so needs your help. And then I can jump directly into that breakout room. For me, I really, really like that because now I'm more involved in what the students are doing because I can see what they're doing. So if if you're doing that kind of digital stuff and if you miss the ability to walk around, and Randy and Dave probably know what I'm talking about, then the screen sharing idea works really well for that. That's all I got today. Anyone have any questions or comments on anything I've presented? Go ahead, Randy.
So a couple of questions. That booking system you were just demonstrating.
Yes.
If we imagine a world where our students had access to Teams, which is a possibility in the future,
Yes.
do you think, with what you know about that system, that that would be useful for booking appointments during office hours?
Potentially. I mean, it probably could be done then. There's some admin stuff in the back end that makes it a real mess. And so the one thing that we're trying to look at right now is not turn it on for everything, because the first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be 15 to 25 different bookings all called test. And then it just makes a real mess in the admin side because you cannot delete those things. It has to be done by a Microsoft administrator. So that's why at this point in time we've kind of like locked it down and said, here's the applications that we're going to be using it for. Microsoft is also going to be launching Bookings 2.0 in the next few months. So I'm hoping that will address some of those issues and then we could expand it. But it all depends on what 2.0 brings to us.
Okay, and similarly, if students have access to Teams, do you think a person could say deliver a lecture and then use the attendance function to see who actually was at that lecture? I mean, I don't take attendance in my courses, but perhaps for some kind of participation marks or something like that. What do you think?
I haven't had a chance to test it for just drop-ins. If you invite them, like, I mean, well, I would assume it wouldn't matter as long as someone's come in and is registered, whether it's as a guest or whatever, you still have to put your email in there, right? If you've created those, I mean, I assume that those things should be available as part of Teams, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a scheduled meeting or not. That attendance stuff isn't available if I just do a video call and say, hey, everyone join my video call, right? It's intended for a scheduled meeting of some sort. So I know that doesn't work. Same thing with transcripts. The transcript function at the moment is for meetings that you actually schedule, not just a quick ad hoc video where I do a video call and invite 3 people in. So now that can change, who knows, because Microsoft's got so much stuff on their roadmap of change, but they just kind of like roll out a little bit at a time. So it easily could change. But yeah, there's no, I mean, we can test that if you want a little later. And we'll create a different meeting room. I'll just send out the link, have everyone join, and we'll see if they can join in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Carrie.
Hey, so I have a quick question about again, the Microsoft bookings.
Okay.
I had read about it and I was thinking that it might be a possible way to respond to all of the workforce engagement, the WE appointments that will have to happen for certain administrators. So we're looking at having to book for anybody that needs to report like an MSA to a supervisor. So if I've got somebody who's got a teaching schedule and then they have certain amount of times that are available, would it be beneficial or would it be something that the university would be interested in setting up so that we could control that their whole schedule doesn't get completely inundated with these weed conversations and they can keep it balanced somewhat? But we have to run year round almost to do it sometimes.
Yeah, see, and this is one of the challenges of the way bookings runs is that it's kind of like, so a hair salon, right? We'll use that as a term. The hair salon opens at 9 o'clock, it closes at 8 o'clock at night, right? Those are the hours that it's available. Different people come in at different times. They all have different schedules, but when they do show up at that time, their focus is going to be on providing those services. So, and if I happen to book an appointment, whether through bookings or else I'm going to, take an hour off to go run my kids somewhere, that gets added to my personal calendar, which then booking says, okay, you're already committed to that time slot. But it's not like you can go, okay, Trevor's going to be available Mondays at this time and Tuesday for only this time, even though he's there for the whole day. It doesn't allow you to go and pick different times that you're available. It basically assumes you show up, your calendar is open, you're available. So yeah. So I mean, we can talk more about that and explore that, and hopefully in Bookings 2.0 that'll change a little bit. But right now, that's one of the challenges with it is that, you know, I can say that you're going to be coming and only working Tuesday afternoons and Thursday afternoons, even though we're open from 8 in the morning till 9 at night. That's not a problem as you as a person, but it's for a big time slot. I can't just like, you know, point off different hours and say, okay, that's when I'm available and that's when I'm available. So as an example, I had with International, we were setting their stuff up and they said, well, we're only going to be available Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 11 for this service. But then in the afternoon, we're going to be doing this service instead, right? So it's like, no, that's not the way it works. It's like you're here from 9 to 5 or whatever the times are. And there are spots open. And whatever the person books, that's what your spot is taken up with. So it's a bit different, but we can chat more about that if you want to book some time with me next week, and we'll look at that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then also, just really quickly, breakout rooms. You had given me some advice a while ago about using them for interviewing,
Right.
And it would have worked, except for the fact that the individuals would have been able to also see each other's names, and considering that we had to keep confidentiality of who was applying and who wasn't. Right. And so that was the little bit of a scenario that I wasn't aware of at the time we were having the conversation. So right. They're great, but they're very, very transparent in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, and I wasn't thinking about it at the time, but breakout rooms assumes that everyone's in the meeting, right? Think of it like a meeting room. We're all in that meeting room. I know who's all in the meeting. Mm-hmm. Then if I decide that, you know, you guys go off and do your thing, you guys do off your thing and then come back in 5 minutes, well, that's fine. You have your private space to do that. But in the end, it's still the same meeting, right? Yeah. You're just off into different corners. So yeah, I wasn't, you know, clicking right. But I mean, for something like I'm talking about with the training and stuff like that, well, everyone, I mean, either everyone knows who else is in there. Actually, now that we've said that, now I have to think about it, because you can in Webex hide the user list, so that might work. Anyways, we can talk more and test some more if you want.
Yeah, no worries at all, but thank you very much.
No worries. Anything else? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording here. And if anyone else wants